Hi everyone, my name is Ila and I'll be your host in today's webinar session. Now today we'll cover the ultimate guide to the new UK and EEA KYC verification process, which is the leading KYC process in the crypto industry. And for some context, we've recently upgraded our compliance standards to be fully in line with the latest European anti-money laundering directives, or AMLD. So this webinar will unpick what that is KYC, why has Binance made this change, and to show you a step-by-step guide on how to complete this new workflow. For those of you that don't know what KYC is, apart from Binance meeting its legal obligations, we conduct something called KYC, know your customer, which is otherwise also known as identity verification. And this effectively allows us as Binance to know who our customers generally are. And this in return has benefits for you, but also for us as well as a company, but also for the crypto industry as a whole. Now, firstly, it helps to deter money laundering and deter it from occurring in the first place. Often you'd often see, the media reporting that crypto is being used by criminals. Criminals use, most currencies around the world. Crypto is part of that, but KYC also helps to verify and confirm the source of these funds and to deter these transactions from happening in the first place. So in fact, KYC helps to keep our users safe and also our society safe from activities funded by laundered money. Secondly, KYC helps to combat financial fraud and identity theft. KYC helps confirm the person opening the account and basically match if they are exactly who they say they are. And something that we've seen across the industry is that identity theft and fraud affects many millions of people worldwide. And so KYC is a direct way of basically fighting that. And it means that your funds are even more safe. Now, lastly, KYC helps improve the industry's trust and accountability. And this is something I want to kind of touch on later on, is that the crypto industry is actually quite, in its infancy stages. We're not as mature as the financial ecosystem that you're familiar with. Now, whilst we've kind of gone a long way, we still have a lot of work to be done. And eagerly meeting our regulatory and compliance requirements creates a greater sense of trust for our customers, for regulators, but also for the crypto industry perception as a whole, which is important. Now, what has Binance done previously and why has Binance taken this stance now? So as I mentioned before, Binance takes its compliance obligations very seriously, and just recently these new directives has been kind of issued to the industry as a standard. So Binance is making this change right now and will become the first crypto exchange to be fully compliant with these regulations. And if you're someone with law background, read up the 5 AMLD and 6 AMLD money laundering requirements. That effectively touches on what these new regulations are about. But for the purpose of the general population, I'm not going to bore you with the little granular details. But effectively, we as Binance need to adapt to the new innovations that are happening, to the new regulations, to ensure that we are meeting the standards that are set, but also to ensure that we are keeping all our users safe as well from hackers and scammers. So what does this new process work and how does that impact you? So in a short, Binance users in the European Economic Area, the EEA, and the United Kingdom will need to be verified under the new European KYC flow. And you need to be verified in order to continue using Binance products and services. So current Binance users will be receiving email communication over the coming days and weeks. So please keep an eye out on that, and also ensure that you meet and you complete KYC by the listed deadline. This is important as we continue to grow Binance and we continue to grow the industry to be able to then offer regulated products, fiat services, stuff that have impacted our users much recently and closer to home. Lastly, I'm just going to leave with a bit of helpful advice and information if you do want to research more about KYC. But KYC is actually nothing new in this industry. You actually find KYC in all aspects of the financial traditional world and the ecosystem. For example, let's say you want to open up a bank in the UK. you're asked for all of the information that we as Binance asked for. All that's different is that you would be asked to go into a physical branch, whereas for Binance, because we're totally digital, we actually have to have photo evidence, and we have to have a live selfie, for example. And I'll touch on more on that in the next few slides. But effectively, if you do want to read more about what the crypto industry is doing to improve its standards, definitely read up these support FAQ articles I provided above. So that's effectively the introduction. I'm now going to go over the step-by-step guide on how to complete the new KYC European flow. It's really simple, actually, in terms of where to find it. If you're a new registered user, you can locate it by going on the register button. But if you're an existing user, you would need to log in and hover over your profile icon on the top right-hand corner, and then click on the drop-down menu of identity verification. This will direct you to the new workflow. I'll touch on this more on step 6, sorry. But for the new users, please continue step 2 and above as follows. So if you're a new user, this is what you will see. You will then have to confirm your country and area of residence. So if you're from the UK, you put down UK, and then you'd click create account. And then once you've clicked on that, you'd then be directed to filling out a desired email and password for your account. Make sure, when you do fill out your password, to make it as hard as possible so that's not as easy to guess, so that you protect yourself straight from the go. And effectively, once you've filled out an email and a password, you then would be directed to something called a email verification. Email verification basically is where we send you a 6-digit code to your email address that you provided. And this code is valid for 30 minutes. But you'll then copy and paste that code onto here to effectively just verify that the email address is in fact yours. It's a quite simple process. Once you've filled out that, you would then get an email address. You will then get the 6-digit code, as you can see here. Copy and paste that into the actual verification. It's really simple. Moving on, once you've verified your email, then you would enter a phone number. Please ensure that you do enter a valid phone number. We do get people that enter the incorrect area code or incorrect format of their phone number. So I'll just go over kind of what is the correct format. So obviously, area code for United Kingdom is +44. And let's say you have a phone number that's 07766554433. You would remove the 0 and you would put the remaining numbers here. So instead of 077, you would put 7766554433. So you'd effectively remove the 0. Once you've done that, you click next. And then similar to the previous steps before, you'll then receive a text message from Binance with a 6-digit code. And then you enter that 6-digit code. It's really simple. And then you would have verified your phone as well. Once you've done that, you would then be forwarded and directed to the verification page, which you can see here. You just be asked again to confirm your residential country. So confirm you're from the United Kingdom, for example. Click OK. And then click on Start Now, and then enter your basic account information, so such as your full name and date of birth. Click Next, and then you'll be directed to this part here, which is called the QR section. And I'll touch on what you'll need to do now, but for the purpose of all the newcomers, what you'll need to do is you'll then be directed to download the Binance app, using the Binance app to then scan this QR code, and then you would continue the verification process on your mobile app. So if you don't know what a QR code is and how it works, don't worry, I've sorted that out for you. First, download the Binance app, install it via the Google Play Store or Apple Store, click Open. And then once you've opened the Binance app, this is what it looks like. And then go to the top right-hand corner, which you can see here. This is the QR finder. You click on that. And then effectively, you'll then be directed to this section here, which is basically like you're taking a photo. You'll then take a photo of the QR code, which is this here. And then once you've done that, you click Continue. And then effectively, you will then be directed to log into the newly created Binance account that you just made. So enter the email and password again. You'll go through the whole process of 6-digit code verification. So you'll receive an email, and then you click on copy and paste that 6-digit code on your Binance app. And then this is where you get directed to the new verification flow on your Binance app. And the main reason why we've directed users to using their Binance app is because we find that most people don't have webcams. So that's why they can't complete the verification process on their desktop. And most people, their webcams won't work, and it doesn't, and it's basically a difficult process. So we've just made it really simple by directing people to download the Binance app and just completing the verification that way. So if you're watching this and you started from the Binance app, there's nothing different, and you just continue with the whole workflow. But if you're coming from a desktop and a computer, you'll then be directed to download the Binance app to then continue the verification process. So once you've done that, you click choose document, and then you'll be directed to privacy statements and terms of service. We use a provider called Onfido, which is a industry standard. Most other exchanges use this provider as well. And effectively, most concerns that people have is, where is this data being stored? How is this data being used? Is it safely encrypted? And Onfido basically answers all that information on here. In short, if you don't want to read up all of it, your data is securely encrypted, and it will not be shared to any other third parties. Now, once you've read all the privacy statements and terms of service, you click accept, and then you'll choose the desired ID documents that you want to upload. So for the UK, the two most common are passport and driver's license. If you have anything else, it will probably likely not work. So ensure that you do have your passport and driver's license ready. Let's say you want to upload your driver's license. So click on driver's license. And then similar to the QR code section, you'll then be shown like a camera view where you'll then take a photo of the ID document. So for example, this is a driver's license, and I've taken the photo of it within the middle of the square. You will then be asked to do the same on the front and on the back. So once you've submitted those photos, click continue, and then you'll move on to the next section, which I'll touch on in a few minutes. But for the purpose of this section, I kind of want to give some helpful tips on how to take a photo of your ID documentation so that you don't have any issues and you don't run into any issues at being rejected. So my first tip is take the photo from a bird's eye view, a 180-degree angle. So imagine you're a bird and you're looking down at a street. You want to make sure that the camera is in that kind of height, not that height, sorry, in that kind of rotation. And effectively, you are taking it basically from a 180-degree angle facing down, preferably on a white background. If you don't have a white background, then if you have a dark background, then that also works as well. And make sure that the photo is also clear and visible and without any glares of sunlight. The good example on the left, you can see that it's very clear, although it's a blue passport and it's in handwritten. The example is still the same. Make sure that you also provide the ID documentation from the country that you are living in. This is especially important if you're a multi-national and you have many different passports. Please make sure that if you're from the UK, you provide a UK passport, and vice versa. And make sure that the ID document is also up to date and that it's not expired. We do have customers that have tried to upload ID documentation that have been expired by a couple of weeks or a couple of months. The system will reject it. And this last section, which is mostly related to what I'm going to touch on in a few minutes, which is about when you're doing your live selfie, ensure that your face is free from obstruction so that there's no glasses, you don't have any hair that's obstruction, you're not wearing any hats, for example. Effectively, when you're doing the live selfie, we're also trying to match your face to your ID document. So basically, make sure that you look similar to your ID documentation photo. These are some bad examples. So the first is obviously blurred. You can't really read the writing clearly. The second is not straight, although the photo of the ID is within the square. The photo itself is rotated, it's not straight, so this will be rejected. The third is cut. You can't actually see the face of the user. And the fourth, there's a lot of glare. And especially if you're using a UK ID documentation, like a passport, they do have glares. So make sure that you're reducing the glares as much as possible, maybe changing the direction of the lighting and stuff like that to make it optimal for the photo. So I've just gone through some good examples, some bad examples. So once you've uploaded your ID documentation, and then you'll then go through a live selfie, which I've touched on earlier. So make sure that you do take a selfie, you effectively put your face within the hole, make sure that you remove any glasses, as I mentioned, and that your face is very visible and clear. There's no glares as well. And then once you've done that, you submit the photo, and then you submit the verification. And then the last step of the verification process is the proof of address and the questionnaire. Now, make sure that you fill in the residential address of where you currently live in, so the postal code and the city as well. And then the questions are there to help us identify what type of customer you are, what user type, and effectively allow us to determine what are the right products for you. So this is required by regulation, and so please do fill out as accurate as possible. But these questions are meant to help us identify who you are as a customer, and to also offer the right products for you as well. So make sure you fill out, answer what you use Binance for, what is your employment status, and how much you would expect to trade in a year, for example. And then once you've done that, you then continue, and then you would submit your verification. And then what happens there is your verification will then get sent for review. This review may take a couple of minutes, if you're lucky, to potentially a few hours, to up to 24 to 42 hours, depending on the traffic on that given day. So please do be patient if you haven't received a response yet. Note that you won't be able to use Binance products and services until you have been fully verified. This is just, unfortunate. This is part of regulation, and this is something that we have to do. So please do be patient. Go into customer support to, escalating your verification won't likely kind of do much, because this is a automatic process. This gets sent to our vendor, and our vendor does these checks. So please do be patient while these checks do take place. But if you're lucky and you get approved quite quickly, then you can continue using Binance. But if you have been rejected, as you can see from this example here, you will also receive an email that will explain the reasons why you have been rejected. So for this specific example, the reason why this person was rejected is because they actually have another verified Binance account. So basically, you need to use the other verified Binance account. You can't use another account and verify that. So effectively, if this happens to you and you have another verified Binance account and you want to use a new account, best to contact customer support and see what they can do for you. I'm not giving any promises. They may be able to reset your verification so that you can then re-verify on this new account, or they may not. It depends on the location and the rules regarding your region. But if there's any issues, like I mentioned, definitely feel free to contact customer support. And effectively, if you have been passed, if you have passed KYC, you then can access and kind of unlock products and services on Binance. You can deposit and withdraw, fiat currencies like GBP, Euro, and USD to cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB. I provided the daily deposit and withdrawal limits for fiat currencies. It's around $200,000, which is equivalent to about £149,339. For cryptocurrencies, deposit is unlimited. You can actually deposit as much as you like, but the withdrawal is limited per day to 100 Bitcoin or equivalent. And if you are having some issues, like I did mention earlier, please contact customer support. It'll also help if you attach the ID document, the photo of the ID document of the passport, driver's license, and if possible, attach a video recording of yourself holding the ID documentation. This is just a kind of a word of advice. If you do want to, ensure that you are getting a faster resolution, these general tips will help you to resolve your issue faster. If your verification keeps getting rejected because of lighting and because of it's not being clear, the simplest of glares or bad lighting and the angle of the photo can cause rejection. So try another submission, changing the background, changing the lighting, changing the angle of the photos. Just keep doing that to see if it does get verified. These tips should hopefully provide you with the right support and hopefully get your issue resolved. And that's effectively it. Thank you so much for attending. I hope this was really helpful. Please slap a like and a comment below if you've enjoyed the content of this webinar. We'll be doing more of these types of educational events moving forward. So I do look forward to seeing you at the next one. So yeah, thank you so much. Goodbye.